Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fundamentals of Criminal Law. This is the second week of the course. So we're going to talk about what happened last week first, and then we'll talk about what's going on this week. First, I'm alarmed at the large number of students who did not get all their work done, and I think it was might have been three different students that didn't do anything. You're way behind already. You've got to catch up. If you just miss one or two things, you're behind. That it will add up quickly. You need to do all the work that is required. I had several that didn't do the introductory quiz. A couple didn't do one of the discussions. I think one that didn't do the research paper quiz. Get all of that work caught up so you're not behind. You don't want to get behind because then it snowballs. You can't move on to the next week until you get the work done the previous week. With that said, the majority of you did great. Everybody, the majority of you got everything done, and that's what we kind of want. So now let's go ahead and talk about your introductory post. I usually go through and do a summary of what everybody had for their career goals, and quite often if they were working in the field already. In this class, I think we only had one student working as a security officer, at least that I saw. I may have missed one. And this was probably the most diverse what I want to be class that I've ever had. I didn't have any really double ticks. I usually have half the class that state they want to be generically a police officer, but I didn't have this class. So the areas that the students were looking at, we have one that wanted to work in the laboratory, which would process data from criminal cases. So an analyst is what I believe they were talking about, a criminal analyst. We had one that either wanted to be a cop or detective, one that wanted to be the police, one that wanted to go to work for HPD. So I've never had a student that wanted to go work for Hitchcock Police before, but apparently this one does. Well, probably not. They may have made Houston Police Department. That is the problem with using acronyms that are the initials that are specific to a particular location. In Galveston County, HPD is Hitchcock, not Houston. So be careful about using those letters when you're talking to a group from somewhere else. If you're in Houston, you're good. If you're up in Humble, you probably should not say HPD because that's Humble PD. When I went to work for Beaumont Police Department, when I worked for Beaumont Police Department for a short time. When you wrote a ticket, when they lived in Beaumont, you just put BMT because Beaumont, had more letters in it. I went to work for Galveston and writing tickets, stopped someone from Beaumont and just put BMT out of habit, and got a call from the municipal court. Where's this town BMT? I said, oh, I'm sorry. So just be careful. Don't use initials that are not common. Now we're going to get to some common initials that you can use. One wants to go to work for the FBI. That is, initials that are not just used, throughout the state. It's throughout the country, but actually FBI is used throughout the world. Next is DEA. Not as common, but if I went through police Olympics years ago, and there were a lot of people that had DEA shirts I was actually at bowling in a tournament in New Orleans, and there were several people at one of the police Olympics party that had DEA shirts on. They were New York City detectives. And DEA up there is Detective Endowment Association. You're probably good using DEA though, because it's, for most of the country, it's going to be the Drug Enforcement Administration. And then the CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol. So the one student wanted to be an FBI agent. One student wanted to be either a DEA or Customs and Border Patrol agent. One generically said criminal investigator. One wanted to be a crime scene investigator or victims advocate, kind of either one. One student was rather broad, either wanted to be a pathologist, a toxicologist, or a psychologist, or an investigator. And then we had one that wanted to be a forensic psychologist, one that wanted to be a juvenile probation officer, one wanted to work forensics, but for the FBI. You're probably going to have to move to Washington for that. And then you've got one that wanted to be a child psychologist or child psychiatrist. I don't think I've ever had a student before that had intentions of going through medical school. More power to you. And then even more, that specialized child psychiatrist is, you know, I really respect that a whole lot. But that's a lot of work. One that wanted to be a lawyer, or one that wanted to be a criminal defense attorney. So we had two that wanted to be a lawyer, but one was more specific about criminal defense attorney. Then probably the most unique combination that I've ever had of wanted to be when I grow up is either a Major League Baseball player or a CIA agent. That's kind of a unique combination. Got another one that wanted to be a probation officer, I assume adult as opposed to the one that wanted to be juvenile probation, or work in dispatch. So they're either working to tell people who've broken the law what to do, or to tell police officers what to do. Then we've got one that wants to be a game warden and one that wants to be a marine biologist. And as far as schools, several of them that we're talking about going to programs where you obviously need a bachelor's degree. The one wants to be a psychiatrist. Obviously, you've even got medical school to go through. Game warden, you have to have a 4-year degree. The lawyers all have to have college degrees, as does the DEA and FBI agents. I only had 2 of them who specified which school, 4-year school they intended to go to. One wants to go to Sam Houston State, go Bearcats, and the other one wanted to go to Baylor. You know, I think this first student, I believe they were in my face-to-face class earlier this semester that wanted to go to Baylor. I had a niece that went to Baylor. So those are good schools. Well, that's the gist from the discussion. Make sure you do your follow-up post and welcome your fellow students. Many of you already have done all your follow-up posts, but just remember you got to the end of next week. And also do the follow-up post on the paraphrase. I've got just a few that have, well, not everybody even done the paraphrase, so we just don't have as many follow-ups on that. Again, that's not due to next week. Okay, so, well, actually this week. So this week we are going to be looking at the presentation on the Model Penal Code. It will not be visible to you until you have completed with a 100 on the introductory quiz and the paraphrase quiz, and you've participated in both the introduce yourself and paraphrase discussion. So you need to get those done before the video is visible to you. And the video is very important this time because there is no textbook for you to read on the Model Penal Code. It's all from the lecture. Then you'll have to take the quiz and make at least a 70. Again, you know, keep in mind that you can retake the quiz as many times as you want. You will always get the highest grade that you had. So if you make a 90 on it, you want to retake it to make 100, I would encourage you to do so. You don't have to worry about dropping back down to a 70 if you somehow, you know, get more wrong than you did the previous time. And then you'll need to do the 2 follow-up posts. For the follow-up post for the introduce yourself and the paraphrase discussion. And then the last thing, actually with the third thing, I kind of set them out of order on my list here, is the original post to discussion 1. Let's scroll down to discussion 1. There is a video for you to watch with the instructions on the discussions.
Hey,
and includes a discussion on the the follow-up post. The follow-up post to discussion 1 are not due to next week, but please watch this video. It will help you a lot. We have a lot of students who just don't do the discussion right. Keep in mind that you have to post first before you can see anybody else's discussion. You have to post both what you feel most interesting about the chapter and the exam review in the same post. If you make a post just so that you can read somebody else's discussion and try to fill that in, that's cheating. You can't cheat in this class. You will fail the class. So just keep that in mind. And then just, as a point, if you haven't done so already, we've got the Ask Your Instructor discussion where you can ask any questions about the class. Just don't ask any personal questions about your own grades or about your own degree plan or anything, but things about the class, the research paper, or whatever, ask it here. Now, if you'll click on it, everybody wants to subscribe. I've already subscribed to this, but there will be a subscribe button there. Please do so. That way, if somebody else asks a question, you'll get an email. Don't worry about getting inundated with emails. We typically have no more than 3 or 4 questions per semester, but they could be things that you'll find important. And the last thing I want to say before I go is I'm going to send out the due this week email, and I want everybody to reply to it to tell me, to let me know that you have selected your topics for both of the case reviews. Just reply to it and tell me which case reviews, the 2 case reviews you asked for. We've had most people have. Well, I'll pull up the kind of glance through them, but not everybody has. If I get you to reply to me, that way, kind of make sure that not only did you get the first one, pretty good number here, but we have a tendency to have fewer for some reason sign up for the second case review. And let's see if that's the case this time. And it looks about the same, so that's good. Maybe that orientation kind of got people to sign up. But anyway, just give me your 2 topics, and so I kind of see that everybody has gotten that part done. That's all I've got for you this week. This has been a little bit longer than normal. Weekly update, a little bit over. We're at the 12-minute point. Normally they'll be under 5 minutes. So we'll talk to you later.